Welcome to the first episode of 40K Fen Reviews. Here, our team reviews all forms of media from our favorite grimdark universe. Today I'll be reviewing the latest animation from Warhammer Plus, Broken Lance. In this review, I'll do a quick breakdown of the plot, voice acting, animation, sound effects, and my overall impression. Be sure to check back for more reviews of Warhammer 40K animations, books, and much more. Plot. From the IMDb page, quote, remnants of Night House Korvek fight for survival against forces of chaos while dealing with family power struggles that pit their High Queen against her niece. Fast-paced animation, night-scale fights, family feuds, and gripping action. Unquote. To begin with, I can certainly attest to the accuracy of this description, however the very highlights it makes are simultaneously its strong points and its weaknesses. Fundamentally, the plot can be summarized as a run-of-the-mill, we have a deep dark secret involving chaos. It would be easy to write this off as a weak and overused effort by StoryForge. In retrospect, I realized the problem was more about the runtime. While what I just said about the rehashing of a plot point we've seen time and again in 40K, I believe it could have been good if there had been time to slowly reveal clues to the plot with a final reveal at the end. Done right, it still could have made a good story. Simply enough, 29 minutes was not long enough to do this. The lesson Games Workshop needs to learn here is the dangers of cramming a plotline into a half hour that requires an hour and a half to execute properly. Doing so greatly damages the end product. If your budget limits you to a single episode at 30 minutes, you need to design a story into that time, not compress a clearly longer narrative into such a short space. On a positive note, the lackluster plot building leaves a substantial amount of the runtime for battle. That, however, has its own problems I'll discuss in the animation section. Voice acting. I'm talking about voice acting next, as us Warhammer fans are spoiled by the Black Library's amazing voice talent, and frankly, a good story with excellent animation can be ruined by poor talent. With these thoughts in mind, where does Broken Lance land? I'd have to say flatly in the middle. There was nothing bad, but nothing inspiring either. Truly, the effort here seemed to match the overall feel of the animation itself. Given the mediocrity, I really don't have anything else to add here. Basically, voice acting didn't hurt the show, but it didn't help it either. Animation. Certainly this will be the part the community zeroes in on the most. Again, being spoiled by the other notable efforts on Warhammer Plus such as Pariah Nexus, The Exodite, and Angels of Death, we have a certain expectation set. In addition, given the controversy with fan-made media, combined with the quantity and quality found there, we have that bar set as well. Again, with those thoughts in mind, where does Broken Lance fall? For me it was like everything else, squarely in the middle. Further, I'd say it falls below the quality I'd expect by a margin. The thought that keeps running through my mind is, quote, fan quality, not studio quality. In addition to overall quality, I failed to ever have any moments of inspiration during the runtime, and felt the combat lacked impact while the weapons were mostly lackluster in effect. Honestly, given the story failed to captivate, the combat was all it really had left. And again, it was fan quality, not studio quality. Sound effects. I really hate to sound like a broken record, but again, the sound design was just middling. Everything was underwhelming, though I can't say bad, just what I'd expect to find on YouTube. And again, the impact just wasn't there. This was particularly notable in scenes where physical clashes between knights are made, chain swords are used, or cannons/mega bolters are fired. This was probably the most notably lacking area in this film. Overall impression. By this point, I'm sure you can write this paragraph for me. The entire animation at all levels was just average. The best I can summarize is to say that this is simply YouTube quality, not studio quality. So was I let down? In a word, yes. Imperial Knights are so damn cool and I'd hoped for an epic adventure, and that is not what we got. Plus, certain elements of the lore were glaringly lacking, such as the absence of the throne mechanicum and the associated trials of linking into a knight for the first time. This could have made for an interesting plot device when our hero mounted the Monarch's unit. Prior shows on Warhammer Plus took great pains to remain lore accurate, so this absence stood out that much more. Maybe my expectations are too high after the past great efforts on the channel, but at the price we all pay, I think we deserve better from Games Workshop. Granted, if the volume of content was greater, I don't think this show would have stood out as poorly, but given the lack of content, the shortcomings are all that more glaring. So was it a bad animation? No, and I'm sure I'll be in the minority on this, but frankly, I love Warhammer 40k and lap up any decent media I come across. I just wish this had been a fan animation, and not something I paid for. Well, I hope my review of Broken Lance has been of value to you and look forward to chatting with you in the comments. Until the next one, 40k fan, out.